want this kind of a thrill, subscribe now to the Audrain Museum Network. Punch that button.
So this is a little bit different.
Now, we've already seen, the viewers have seen the time travel transition graphic. And here we are, several decades into the future.
Yeah.
And it is amazing, to me, about the passage of time. We talk a lot here at the Audrain about Youngtimer classics, and your Boxster S is a perfect example of a Youngtimer classic, and it also is illustrative of another factor, which is the fact people often ask, well, are they building collector cars today? And the answer, of course, is yes. When the Boxster came out, was it an instant collectible? No. It was a very functional car, built for a purpose, and now over the course of 27 years, we've seen what the Boxster represents to the car community. And, manufacturers like to celebrate anniversaries. It's fun for the marketing department. It's also a way for them to get a few extra shekels into the account because they make an anniversary edition and they can charge a bit more money for it. But it was remarkable to think of the fact that in 2021, the Boxster had been around for 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 26, so I felt that one.
Quite amazing, and this is a 25th anniversary Boxster we're riding in right now. One of 1,250 made. Nice symmetry there, 125, 25 for the 25th anniversary. But I have to also hand it to Porsche for not just making a cynical badge and decor special, because this generation of Boxster had moved to the standard 4-cylinder turbocharged engine.
Yep.
And so this anniversary gets back to a full 6-cylinder engine, the specification of the GTS, 4-liter engine. And so it's got some go to go with the show.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful tribute to the Boxster show car with this silver with a red interior. Which is also quite attractive. And so I think that, as an anniversary special, they've done themselves good honors here.
Yeah, I mean, I like the styling. I like the gold accents. I think they look really good. I love the wheels. The wheels are really nice.
Beautiful.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Sounds much better than, this is the 718 generation, but it sounds much better than the 718 with the 4-cylinder. But that's what you look at Porsche as a whole, it seems like they listen to their customers. You look at the 911R was supposed to be the last manual transmission 911. The manuals were dying out. It was really bad. People complained about it, and then what did Porsche do? In the 0.2 version of the 991, they introduced the Touring, which all the people that flipped the 911R, good for them, but the people that bought them at a high price,
that gets into the whole idea of the instant collectible and the marketability of specials.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the fact that whenever anyone announces the last fill in the blank, it'll just be, how long before we see that again?
Exactly. But when this came out, when the 718 came out, it had a 4-cylinder, and that 4-cylinder motor was also turbocharged, so you took away the natural aspiration.
But it had more power and more usable power than the last 6.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
But people were still complaining about the lack of sound, so what they did is they introduced the Cayman and Boxster GTS 4-liter.
Right.
And then this is the same 4-liter motor as you mentioned with the flat 6. And I like that at least voices can be heard and then cars can be provided to the customer, which I think is a cool touch that they do that.
Porsche knows their customer, and also it's quite an interesting point that in deciding what the spec would be, well, first, actually, let's take a step back. You know, you and I have had lots of conversations about Porsche nomenclature and the fact that
listen, I'm a PCA member, so I fully understand the nomenclature.
I am a PCA member, a contributor to Panorama magazine, and the nomenclature is still Stuttgart Greek. And you know, I'm an old-fashioned guy. If you change the model, change the name. But I get it. But the interesting thing is that in this case, I actually handed to the Porsche marketing folks, because calling this generation of the Boxster and Cayman the 718 is also a nod to the great mid-engine sports racing cars of the 1950s. So that to me makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
because
that makes sense.
That is what they were always built to honor, and now they're making it very explicit. And also we get to see finally in this chassis, in this platform, the kind of power that it was always designed to handle.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, with my car's a lot lighter than this, with 250 horsepower, but I can definitely feel the added power in this. I mean, this is 395 horsepower, which is a lot for a car this size.
Now, again, it's also so funny that we're having this conversation about added horsepower, and today in the bar room, on the bar stool, I'm sorry, 400 horsepower?
Yeah.
What is that? Your grocery car,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it must be a plebeian.
Exactly. And it's interesting too, because the power delivery in your car, those 250 horses work so much harder and so much more, to my mind, efficiently than the nearly 400 in this car. This car has got wonderful response, it's got great power, it's got a wonderful sound, but you don't have that same eagerness that you have in your car.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I'll have to test it from the driver's seat, but I see what you mean. I mean, also as a whole, the car obviously is a lot more modern. I'm looking at all these buttons and the heated and cooled seats. My car had heated seats, which was a really big deal back in the day. Now if a car doesn't have heated seats, it's like, what? You don't have heated seats?
Are you camping or are you driving?
I mean, I'm using the cooled seats right now, which work really well. But I can definitely, like we were talking earlier, I can still feel the lineage between what was old now and what is new with this. So it is fascinating how they've kind of held on to that feeling despite having to modernize everything.
You know, again, I've said this so many times, the brand experience of driving a Porsche is something that they do extremely well.
Yes.
You know that you're driving no other car but a Porsche. This feels like a Boxster, but it feels like a 911 has inhabited the body of a Boxster.
Yeah. Maybe
So,
it's almost like the hot rod that I was trying to do with my car, thinking about doing that.
well,
It's the modern version of it.
What it also tells me, and this is where the Porsche engineers have to be very careful, they've come right up to that line with the Cayman GT4 RS. The first time this platform has actually had the same amount of power as a 911.
Yeah.
And you can tell in this car that if they just took that next step in this car, it would actually be the car, I can't say we, I'll speak only for myself, I want the 911 to be.
Okay.
Because this is, frankly, all the Porsche I need.
Yeah, I mean,
This is it. This is all.
we talk about it all the time. You're good. We talk about it all the time as usable horsepower, and in my opinion, I haven't driven yet, I will in a minute, it goes beyond usable power in a normal road setting.
Correct. For everyday driving, you really don't need more than what this car has to offer. And what's really different and we really observe this in your cars, that sort of duality of power delivery. It's perfectly comfortable and capable around town, under 3,000 RPM, under 3,500 RPM. Then you get past 4,500 to 5,000, and it takes on a different character.
Yeah.
There's more energy, there's more immediacy.
Yeah.
Here, the power band has been smoothed out, so you certainly get more power at 4,500 or 5,000.
Yeah.
But it comes on just in a very linear fashion, and obviously that's intended.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be, in a modern car, you don't want to be suddenly surprised by power, which can be very entertaining, but not really the thing that most owners want to experience. And to that end, it actually makes me again sort of wish for a bit more, because I want this car to do everything that your car does in a thoroughly modern way. The rev limiter kicks in the same way. And actually, interestingly enough, given the very different nature of the engines, at exactly the same point. The red line on this is about 7,500 RPM.
So 500 RPM more than what I have.
And it comes in with the same drama. But, again, it's also a very good thing because rev limiters are there for a reason.
Yeah. Kaboom.
Kaboom. I loved, a number of years ago, I love telling this story. A number of years ago, I was at a collector car auction, and one of the cars for sale was an absolutely beautiful Alfa Romeo TZ1. An amazing
wow.
car.
Yeah.
And on the tack, as they were built from the factory, there was no red line. But the engine builder or the restorer had put in dyno tape at 6,500 RPM $signs. I said, you can rev as far as you want. Beyond this, it's going to cost you money. So I thought that was the cleverest thing possible. I thought manufacturers should actually do that.
That's funny. That's really funny. But I can say just as in my car, from the passenger seat, it seems just as exciting to be in as in the driver's seat, which some cars, it doesn't really feel like that. You need that engagement in order to feel something, whereas this, it feels just as fun from the passenger seat.
Yeah, and that's also something that is a very important part of what Porsche Dynamics are all about. The fact that the security that a driver feels behind the wheel is also transferred to the passenger, I think. If I'm in one of these cars and it's being driven in a spirited manner, you do have a certain confidence as a passenger that you would not have in some other cars.
Yeah. Well, and I think the open top experience adds to that as well.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I do love open cars, besides the fact that, of course, it blows my hair all around, is the fact that you get a sensation of speed.
Yeah.
It's one of the problems that I have with electric cars, is that, the sound is part of the sensation of speed.
Yeah.
Certainly in an open car, the wind, if you're going 45 miles per hour, it feels like 45, it feels like 50 because the wind is rushing past you.
Yeah.
When you're in a totally enclosed car, you can be going 100, and with the silence that's built into most new cars, you have no idea that you're going more than 35.
Yeah, very true.
Which is not necessarily a good thing. Well, I'm going to let you take a turn at the wheel shortly and see if you feel the anniversary magic as we travel. Well, one point I also want to make before I reluctantly give up the wheel is the fact that I touched on Youngtimers a moment ago, and one of the things about the cars of 20 years ago that is so fascinating to me is that the whole idea of the cream rising to the top, cars demonstrating through their longevity that they have the attributes of character and interest that keep us interested, it transcends age. And there's many 60-year-olds as 20-year-olds that love the Boxster because of what the Boxster does, not because of what the Boxster is. I think that makes a big difference. So we'll get your opinion shortly.
I don't think anyone knows what direction to press the button on a parking brake, because everyone that I touch, I'm like, oh, it's definitely
the opposite way.
It's definitely push it in.
You've got a 50% chance of getting it wrong.
Yeah, I get it
it's
wrong.
Always wrong.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot more powerful than my car.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
The steering. So I could say I like the feel of this steering wheel more in terms of the physical wheel.
Mm-hmm.
The steering wheel on my car is actually a little bit big.
I like big steering wheel.
It doesn't look big, but I like that this is a little bit smaller. But I know that this is electronically assisted steering, and
well, forget about that.
Yeah.
Forget about knowing that it's electronic. What does the feel do for you?
It feels good. It doesn't. Yeah, it's pretty fast. I feel like I have more feeling and understanding of what the front end of the car is doing on my car with a hydraulic steering rack than I do in this. But for a modern steering setup, this feels better than some other cars with electronic steering. My Mini, for example, has electronic steering, and I love my Mini, but the feeling is not there as it would be in an old Mini.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. To me, it's much like the conversation between naturally aspirated and supercharged or turbocharged engines. It is partly a matter of preference, but also a matter of perception. Since I'm an old car guy, obviously most of the steering in the cars and most that I drive are hydraulic. An electronically assisted steering system can be programmed to give whatever input level the engineers desire. Mm-hmm. So it can make it feel like God, I forgot what the other steering system is called.
Hydraulic rack?
No, but not rack and pinion, but ball and it'll come to me. We'll put it down in a little title underneath.
Okay.
But they can do anything they want with it.
Yeah. Yep.
So my point with this steering is that not that it's bad, but it just has a level of smoothness and sort of direct feel removed, which makes the car easier to drive, certainly, but just takes away the aspect that your car has of always feeling in communication with what the car is going to do all the time.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, again, it's this generation, the 718. I've driven a 981, which was the previous generation, which was the first to adopt the electronic steering, and this feels better than that car. So I think the manufacturers are, figuring it out at this point. But I do like the fact that this has a little bit of body roll in it. I don't like when I get in certain newer cars and there's no body roll. It's difficult to really determine where the level is. And I mean, I'm not the best driver. I'm not the worst driver. I'd say I'm okay.
You're a good driver.
And
I grant you good driver status.
Yeah, good. I mean, I like that there is a little bit of play in the body, which I'm like, okay, I can go into this turn at.
You want signals from the car about what is happening.
I'm not the biggest fan of the auto blip, so I'm in third now. Second, it'll blip it for me. Definitely a cool feature, but I prefer to blip the throttle on my own, and I know that there's a way to turn it off in the settings, I would imagine, and some of them even have it as an option down on the array of buttons down here. But I can definitely see if you want to enjoy shifting gears, but you don't want to worry about. Wow, it is very aggressive, and you don't want to worry about. What was I going to say? Shit, it's too focus on driving.
Blipping on the downshift.
Yeah. And if you don't want to focus on achieving that perfect downshift, I mean, this car makes you a hero every time. So from the outside, you sound like a badass.
It also saves the engine.
Yeah,
I mean, they're doing it both for
It does.
the entertainment value and also for the protective value as well.
Yeah.
What you just experienced just now is the fact that this car, with the particular throttle and steering inputs and controls that it has, responds to a much lighter touch than your car.
True.
Your car wants more input
Yes,
in
that's
both the
true.
throttle and the steering. And that's
kind of more of an old car nature as well.
correct, exactly. And it's interesting that these two cars show exactly how much progress there has been in chassis development in 25 years.
Yeah.
And it's something that you and I have also spoken about when we go to the track and drive a high-performance modern car on the track. I know that I have to be very, very conscious of my inputs because being an old car guy, I almost always put too much into the steering wheel, too much into the throttle, too much into the brake. And these cars are designed to really operate on such a fine level.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, we always joke about when I did the Mille Miglia with you, how the
Our 1940 Seata.
Yeah, that car with 46 horsepower was the scariest car that I've ever driven. I mean, it is truly incredible to see. I mean, even since 80 years,
Right.
to see how advanced the tire tech and the brakes and even just overall comfort. I mean, we were talking about this with my car. You could do a cross-country trip with my car. You could definitely do a cross-country trip in this car. I mean...
Yeah, this car might be one. It's a terrible thing to say because it will sound as if I don't like the car, which I do. I love it. But this is a car I would actually, on occasion, turn on the cruise control in and just sort of glide along for a bit.
It's really comfortable. So we're in the Sport Plus mode. If I just put it in the driving mode, the normal mode, the exhaust is quiet now. I think this button makes the suspension, I don't know if that makes it firmer.
Firmer.
Okay,
Yeah,
so now it's softer.
Exactly.
It's actually really comfortable. It's not bad.
It is. I mean, we recently did a video with the Pontiac Solstice, and all of a sudden, now in this mode, it seems like a top-down cruiser.
Okay, so in this mode,
the normal mode, the auto blip goes away.
Yeah, the auto blip goes away. Okay, hold on. So if I turn the loud exhaust button, or as I call it, the binocular button.
You get a little more, but not as much as you get in the Sport mode.
In the Sport Plus, it's definitely, the throttle response is a lot more aggressive. I don't know, Donald, what do you think? Would you like the 25th anniversary car, or would you just like the car from 25 years ago?
Well, you know, I think the original, as we would say in German, the Boxster, is such an incredibly entertaining car. It really feels very close to the roots of the brand.
Yeah. And
just delivers the same amount of smiles and grins as it did back in 2000. And this car is a really, really, really capable development of the platform. Again, staying very true to brand principles. And, you know, much like, I guess you compare this actually with a 356A, which is a really neat car to drive.
Yep.
And the 356, a 1965, as we've driven here on the network, Carrera 2.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate exploitation of the platform, of the chassis. The Carrera 2 feels nothing like a 356A. This does not feel like your car, but it still has the same spirit. Yeah,
very true. That's, you know, you always have such an eloquent way of explaining things, Donald.
Well, it happens when you're an old guy, been in lots of cars. But, you know, it is a pleasure to see how this form has developed and matured so well. It'll be very interesting to see where Porsche takes this.
Yeah, maybe electric. That's what everyone's been saying. I don't know how they're going to maintain the same level of enjoyment. I mean, a Taycan is really fun to drive. I've driven a Taycan on a skid pad actually, and that was an absolute blast. But
given what McLaren and
Yeah.
and Maserati and these other high-end GT car brands are doing with their electric offerings, my radical vote would be the 911 to go electric and the 718 to go hybrid.
that would be very interesting.
Very cool. So, and we both know that Porsche is very, very, very much invested in the e-fuels, sustainable fuel
Yeah.
business. So I suspect that there'll be ICE Porsches around for quite a while to come, and hopefully they continue to develop this platform to its absolute maximum.
I hope they do as well, Donald. Well, this was fun.
We'll have to do it again 25 years from now.